Well, hey there, my friend. Welcome back to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Batten. I'm so happy you're here today. This is the second part as we continue our three-part series on building an exceptional reputation. And I've been having such great conversations with people about this lately, and I'm excited today to bring a guest. So, in the first episode, we talked about why reputation isn't built from the outside, which always seems counteractive. If you haven't heard that podcast, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to that one after you listen to this one. But everything starts with leadership, clarity, and what's happening inside the business, right? So it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside. Okay, it does matter, but you know what I mean. It does start with the inside. So in the second episode today, we are talking with Stephanie Miller Vincent and taking that idea up a step further and taking it towards consistency, culture, customer care. We're going to talk about hospitality and how that is an inside job. Like it starts from the inside and not with what we always think is just telling people to care and telling people to be good service. And today we're going to talk about how and why hospitality matters so much in your reputation. It does matter so much in your reputation, how it shows up in your everyday moments, and why leadership plays such a big role. It's such a big role here, my friends. Like, hear me out. This is a great episode. Stephanie and I talk about quite a few different things. The conversation isn't just around scripts and surface level service, because that's what we think it is. That's what we think. We teach our people, just say these things and do these things, but we need to really understand that the culture that we create, the care that we show our team, and the standards that we set, that's what matters. That's what customers actually feel. So we also talk about the importance of little things, literally. We talk about the importance of sweating the small stuff, staying consistent, not waiting for the big problems to show up before paying attention. It's all those little things. It's all those little things that add up in our reputation, and we don't always think about that. So we talk a lot about that. If you're serious about building an exceptional reputation, one that lasts and lasts, and it's good for your brand, good for you, good for your business, good for your team. People want to work for you. This conversation will give you lots to think about today. So let's dive in with Stephanie. Let's go. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Well, thank you for being here, Stephanie. Welcome back, actually, to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Okay, I have brought you back because we're going to talk about hospitality again. So I know I've had you on the podcast before. Actually, one of my top podcast downloads, and I don't think I've ever told you that, which is interesting. People are interested in hospitality and hospitality. And this is part of our series on making businesses just more exceptional in how they're being experienced by the clients, because that's important. In this day and age, it's just important for our clients to have experiences. So tell us a little bit who you are and where you are. Where in the world are you located? And just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so Stephanie Miller Vincent, like you said, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called SMillerVision. I started it in, 2019, and really moved into things post-COVID when I noticed that hospitality wasn't existing in the food service business, mostly, Wendy. And since then, it's expanded into every customer-based business where people are paying attention. They understand the importance of hospitality. I'm in a tiny little community on the South Shore of Nova Scotia called Port Mattoon, or Port Mutton, if you're reading it the way it's spelled out.
So, fun fact for those listening and know that I am in Nova Scotia as well. And Stephanie's not that far from me in her Port Mutton, which is what I used to call it when I would see it on a map, to be honest, even though I speak French. But anyhow, there we go. So it's kind of fun. We share our love for Nova Scotia, and we share a love for hospitality. We share a love for being by the ocean and caring and loving on people. So I wanted to bring Stephanie back in because I do not know anybody who is more dedicated to and has a clearer understanding of hospitality in how we define it. And I'm going to let you talk about that, but and how it affects our leadership, like what our role as a leader is around the
Mm.
hospitality. And I think a lot of people get confused around that. So, hospitality to me is a leadership decision. Like it starts at the top. Can you tell us just hospitality beyond being friendly or customer service? Because I think those two get mixed up. Can you give us a little,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. I mean, you can be friendly and provide customer service and still not be hospitable or provide hospitality. And I agree with you. You know that it starts at the very top and it trickles down. It starts with your team, whether that's your coworker or the folks that work with and for you. It has to start there. We can't expect anything from the people that we lead that we don't expect them to go out and provide. Like, imagine treating your team like they don't matter and then asking them to go out and treat your customer like they're the kings and queens of your business, kind of thing, right? We have to give what we expect. It should be easy, and it's not, right? Most of the work that I do is shifting people from believing that staff members are names on a schedule to shifting them into being actual people that need to be seen and heard. And I'll take it one step further. If you're treating your people well, they then go home and treat their families well, and they're good community citizens too. If they've had a really crappy day at work because of you as the leader, you know they take that home. We've all been there. And they certainly aren't out volunteering and raising your community up in any aspect.
Yeah. So I've never thought of that. It is a ripple effect, though, isn't it? I mean, it's definitely we want happy, healthy humans so that we can attract happy, healthy humans into our world and the whole ripple effect. I think a lot of people think hospitality, again, big picture around hospitality. I think they think that again, back to this service thing, it comes from a place of service and a place of like, well, we're friendly and we're nice and we're serving. What's a misconception maybe that business owners have about hospitality, like what they think it is?
Yeah, I think you're right. People, business owners believe that, well, we were nice and we gave them what they came for. We define that as hospitality. That's not hospitality. That's performing the tasks that move your business forward or at least complete the tasks on the list. Being hospitable is actually creating a feeling or an emotion in people. And if you think about think about a loaf of bread, even just a plain white loaf of bread, you can buy it 100 different ways, but you're likely to go buy it from the person who made you feel good about it, right? So it's really it comes down to not the task, but the heart that's behind it and how somebody made you feel while you were doing whatever it was that the service that they provided.
That's a great example. For this year, 2026, as we're recording this, I mean, I say forever, and I've always felt this. I come from a hospitality background, I come from a leadership background. I feel like I didn't, and I had never really, I think intuitively, I've always been hospitable. I've realized that being in the hospitality world has weaved into my retail shop and how I do workshops. And so we have a lot of listeners that are trying to figure out like I'm trying to say how do I give a crap about hospitality. So there we go. I'm going to say it like that. So okay, well we're nice and we're like this and how like in a retail setting workshops, studios, retail, specialty retail. That's who our listeners are. That's who's listening right now. And they're thinking, okay, I got to add something more to my plate. This is like going to add to my plate. This is like something Wendy's telling me I have to do.
But it's not going to add to the plate,
Right.
Wendy. I don't believe it's going to add to the plate. I believe it takes away some of the tasks on your list that are the most frustrating, the most boring, the most kind of pushed to the side of the desk or pushed off. Yeah, I get it. One more thing I need to be is good to my team.
Yeah. Right.
What? But if you're good to your team, guess what? They go to bed Sunday night excited about coming to work instead of dreading coming to work. They call out less. They're more loyal to you. They're more excited to be there. You don't need to tell them the things that they need to do. They pick up on that intuitively, like you said. It's not, if somebody comes in to buy a loaf of bread, see if they need any butter or jam, they just know because they want to take care of people because somebody's taking care of them.
Yes.
And I'm with you.
Yeah.
For the first, what, 25 years probably of my career, I didn't know that this was different. I thought every manager worked like this.
Yeah.
I had really good fortune of working for some really great people until I didn't.
Me too. That's 100% my experience too.
Yeah.
I was very young coming out of a hospitality industry. I worked for the airlines for many years, and I had an incredible boss who, like, we just served our clients so well. I was a counter agent at an airport, which was crazy. I mean, it was off. There was hard times, but our customer, we cared. Like, we had, we had boarding cards printed back in the day when, we saw that Joe Smith was on the flight and he was always going to be running late, and we could hand him like just we cared. And I do think it goes back to less problems for my boss or for the owner,
Mhm.
because customers were happy. Like, customers were happy because we as a staff were all happy. And I took that for granted too. I took that for granted for years.
Yep.
And funny enough, all of us that worked together in my airline, this is my airline experience was, and still is to this day, many decades later. That's a long time ago. I'm still like in connection with those people I worked with behind that counter, because we all had a mutual shared desire for customers to be happy, to get the plane out on time, to make sure the baggage all got there, like the flights, everything worked, and we were all helping each other. And it felt good as an employee. Like, we worked really hard back in those days doing that type of work. But you're right. Like, I think back fondly upon those memories, and I'm sure customers did, but I think if we were prescribed, here's how you serve people, here's how you do this,
Mhm.
like, here's your job. But we were all, and I would say, I bet to say most of my listeners, my experience with my clients, we all have job duty. We all have jobs to do. Like, you're hired as whatever. You're hired to work Saturday in the shop from 9 to 4, whatever. And there's certain things that need to be done. But to your point of saying, oh, I also see that the bathroom needs to be cleaned and there's a break in the schedule, so I'm going to go do that because that's part of, like, and what needs to be done. How can I pitch in? How can I make this business? Because I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to work here. I love my boss. I like want things to keep going and rolling, and, I want things to happen. I just think that there's a misconnection between, for some people, and maybe that's the question I have for you. Where do you see a breakdown between intention and execution when it comes to, well, I want my staff to feel like that and love all each other, and I do give a crap about them, but the
So
execution
show them.
of that.
Don't just,
Tell us about
yeah,
it.
don't just want them to, show them. Treat them like the human beings that they are. We can go back to the schedule situation. There are times, even though you hired them to work Tuesday to Saturday, that they're going to need a Saturday off.
Mhm.
Special occasion, whatever the reason. Treat them like a human being who might actually need a Saturday off. And I think, Wendy, as we get into AI and the mechanics of things, then this relationship building becomes even more important, becomes more important with your staff, it becomes more important with your customer. So, it's going back as a business owner, I believe, to the reason you got into business. You must have had a passion about something. Maybe it's dwindled a little bit because you have been a solo entrepreneur for X amount of time, but go back to that passion and don't be afraid to share it with people. Let them see you doing something besides sitting behind your desk, crossing off tasks. Because again, they are more likely to emulate what they see you doing rather than the list that you gave them and what you told them to do. If you've got a boss who says, go greet the guest at the door, or the customer at the door,
Yeah.
and every time the door opens, they run in the other direction, what message are you sending?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, it's it all comes from the top, and it doesn't come from policies and procedures and discipline. It comes from show and tell and passion.
Totally love that. Totally agree with that. I love that. I think it's important. And again, I have a hard time. I love how you explained that. Thank you for, can you, so I think a lot of people, another misconception, can we expand a little bit upon? So I'm showing them the way, I'm
Yep.
showing them the way. I have decided and I have clarity around how I want our culture to be here and how I want our customers to feel. What are other things like besides like happy staff? I always laugh and say, like, people say, well, happy staff isn't just about perks, right? It is about trust, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, like, how can we weave in a little more trust and maybe more clarity?
Yeah, and happy staff probably aren't about perks at all unless they helped develop the perks. You
Ooh,
know,
talk about that a little more. Yeah.
um, just because you think there should be pizza on Friday doesn't mean that me as a staff member
Okay.
wants pizza on Friday. Maybe I'm gluten free. Maybe I don't like pepperoni. Maybe I packed a really great lunch and you surprised me with pizza, and all that does, quite honestly, is tick me off.
Okay.
Right? I mean, so include them in some of the perks, and we're not talking about health benefits and that sort of thing. We're talking about the little things that people think are special
That's
that
fair.
aren't so special anymore. And again, if you're the deciding factor, they might be special for you and they may be of no interest to your team members at all, right? Maybe they'd rather you bring in salad than pizza. Who knows? Did you ask them? So that becomes part of it. And it really boils down to conversations. Stop deciding that you're going to make them trust you and start sharing some of the things that you can. I mean, we know
Yeah.
there are certain things you want to keep close to your chest, whether it's parity information or financials or whatever it might be. But if you've decided to rearrange your whole shop, tell them why you decided.
Right.
Even better, have the conversation with them around, the shop needs a refresh. What do you think we should do? They're the ones who are in it every day, maybe straightening it up every day. They might have ideas that you haven't even thought of.
Right. That's the ego,
Right?
right? That's the leadership ego sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been doing it often
Yeah.
alone for so long before your business builds to a point where you start hiring people or they're not, close friends or family. You have to actually take an application and hire someone.
Yeah.
You think that they know what you're thinking, but you haven't shared anything that you're thinking, and you wonder why they don't do it the same way you want it done.
So true. Yeah, that's a great point. Can you share a little bit of when we're talking about hospitality? Let's go back. So we've got happy staff now. We've also got staff that trust us and have bought into the culture.
Yeah.
Um, how would like, what are some hospitality principles maybe that you can see that would play really powerfully in retail, like in retail specific? Can you,
When you say principles, you
well,
mean
give us some examples of when I'm thinking about in my retail shop and I'm being of service. My staff are all like, we're all waiting here. Where do you see hospitality Is it at the checkout counter? Is it when I come
Oh,
in? Is it
it's everywhere. I mean,
like
it's greeting at the door or as close to the door as you possibly can. I always say no matter what your four walls are, pretend you're the host and you're welcoming people into your home. And whether you own the business or you work for the business, and listen, maybe some people aren't hospitable at home, but if you're the type who likes to
yeah,
host on some level, think about that. Don't make people come to you, go to them.
yeah,
But at the same time, learn how to read body language, and some of that's going to come with experience and some of it's going to come with a couple of bumps, but just because you've offered help doesn't mean that they want it, so know when to back off and when to come back.
right.
you know I always go back to the menu in the restaurant. We greet them at the door in a host capacity. They're seated with a list of what we offer. They'll make their decision, and then it's my job as the tour guide of that menu to offer them different things. So they pick up one thing in your retail shop. There are other complementary products that go with that.
Right.
And some people will hesitate, well, that's salesy. It's like, do you want them to get home and wish they'd bought a pen to go with that journal? Why wouldn't you rather have them get home and go, I can't believe how thoughtful they were when they recommend I pick up this beautiful pen to go with that journal? Like, they don't have to buy it.
No, it is it's funny because this is something we talk a lot about in the sales experience, and to me it's just being of service,
Yep.
just being of hospitality. Like you're right. Suggest the pen, don't have the journal, so that's hospitality. It's also sales training, and just
Hmm.
everybody knows, we have lots of programs with sales training and understanding the whole customer experience, again, building this exceptional experience and this hospitality piece. And I love that you said it's like welcoming into a dinner party. I use the analogy quite a bit. It is also funny because some people will say, I don't like having dinner parties. It's like, well, then you're not in the
But
right
you
business.
like customers in your shop. That's
Well,
why you opened one, I'm
it's
presuming.
really funny. I know, because that's always my next answer. Don't hire
Yeah.
people who don't want to have the dinner party, or don't be.
Yeah.
I actually loved, I just wrote down tour guide. I love the word tour guide. And I don't know why, but that just stuck to me. Like that's exactly what we're doing. We're giving them a tour of the shop. We're, we're showing them around. We're explaining the things. We're sharing what's going on. Again, just being hospitable
And
around.
making them feel good, right? Like,
Right.
you know, depending on what the product is, making them feel that they've genuinely
Yeah.
making them feel like they've made a good choice. When they pick up a journal or a blouse or a loaf of bread, let that color is fantastic on you. Oh, that's our most popular loaf of bread. That goes really well with this, whatever it is, but complimentary so that that customer feels good about the decisions that they've made in your store, which facilitates the fact that they made a good decision coming into your store.
Where do you see people getting it wrong?
Hiring people who don't care and not emulating the behavior or correcting the behavior, right? We see a lot of business owners chewing to other business owners, my staff, blah, 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 you
Um,
know? It's like, have you told them?
Right. Yeah. That's
Yo, like that's confrontational, right? I'm the nice or the kind or the whatever. And it's like, but how do you expect them to change a behavior if you haven't told them? Well, the policy says they'll greet people within 3 feet of walking in the door.
right.
Do you do that? And when you see them not doing that, do you ask them why? And better yet, when they do it, do you thank them for that?
Yeah. That's so
Right? Like that's where it gets wrong. We expect people to read our mind,
yeah.
and then we let it go so far that there's almost no coming back,
Mhm.
because it's like, well, I've done that for the last 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. I've worked for you. Why is it a problem today?
Right. It's really hard to make shifts and changes, right? It's hard to introduce those things. Yeah, you're right.
It's micro moments, right? It's tiny little micro moments of thank you for greeting that guest at the door. And you'll notice probably I'm using guest instead of customer because that to me is more hospitable. They are guests in
Yeah.
your shop, guests in
Yeah.
your restaurant. It's thank you for, I don't know, taking their umbrella and leaning it against a place where it's out of their hands and it doesn't drip water on the floor for the next
Right.
person coming by. It's this kind of peripheral vision, but it's got to come from the leader. It's got to.
I feel like, and again, back to this, having a really clear understanding of how do you want your people to feel, your customers, and then your staff. Like it is a ripple effect. We talk about ripples here a lot, but it is a ripple effect and it does build over time, and it is what your brand is about. And I really, I love, first of all, I love guest analogy as well too. So now I'm using tour guide and guests now. Just I was like, because that's just, I don't know, it's really, I don't know, it's really amazing. Can you share with us what's one thing that you think our shop owners are listening right now can do differently this week? Like, what's one thing that in my shop we can do to improve team culture, customers' experience? Like, what's one thing that would just make a big difference that we could
If
do?
I only had one thing that I could do, I would ask every single member on my team, if you were the owner, what would you fix tomorrow?
Mhm. Okay, that's
Make sure they trust you enough to give you an honest answer,
mhm.
um, and be prepared to do something with it when you receive it.
Oh,
Take your ego out of it.
yeah, feedback,
Take
right?
your ego out of it. They're going to tell you the one biggest pain point that they have. And it may be simple. It may be something like, I wish that ladder wasn't in the back storage room, that it was behind the counter so I didn't have to leave, the main floor. Or I wish every 6 weeks I could get a Saturday off, even though I agreed to work Saturdays. Like, it's probably pretty simple.
So our first move is to ask them what would make like it better for them, for like
Yep.
make the business better for them. Would you also open it up to making it like, would you also follow up with another thing of asking your staff to what would make things better for our customers?
I would hope that you're doing that on a regular basis. But yeah, absolutely. If you're not already surveying your customers in some way, whether it's through conversation or through emails or whatever it is, absolutely. Your staff is your first line of contact with those guests. And if there's not already a trust conduit of being able to share that information, it should be shared daily.
I agree.
We shift to me, it should be in a logbook, whether that's electronic or written. But
Mhm.
if you're not in your shop talking to every single guest, you want every comment, good or bad,
Yeah,
and you don't have to respond to every one of them.
yeah,
And certainly you don't want to be playing dodgeball because you responded to one today and then somebody tomorrow wants you to change it.
yeah,
You need to listen. If every fourth customer guest is telling you that, I don't know, your doorknob doesn't work and it's hard to get into your shop, fix your
mhm.
doorknob.
Well, it's funny that that's an exact, oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm laughing because I'm like, did we shop at the same store recently? It's possible. There is a local shop, and that's actually a problem. And I was there the other day, thought store was closed, and
Yep,
the employee came running down, down the street from me a little bit later. And she knew me. She's like, what, she's like, we're open. And I'm like, oh, because I had like tried the door, so looked at the hours. Like I literally stopped, looked at the hours, and I went,
yep.
oh, they're supposed to be open. Did make a mental note that I really hate when you're not open and you say you're going to be open. But anyway, that's it's the and honestly, again, back like this is a great example of hospitality gone wrong because now I'm irritated. Like I was like embarrassed, and I'm embarrassed too. I don't know why, but like some reason that like made me feel stupid or something.
Yep.
Um,
You may never show your face in that shop again, depending on who you are
Yeah,
because of that.
exactly. It's and they could have lost me too. And if she'd
Yep,
been busy, she wouldn't have come out. Anyway, we talked about it. I said, "Oh, you gotta get that door fixed." And it used to stick, and I know it used to stick, but this particular time, I mean, I'm not feeble. So
yep,
anyhow, all this to say is that she said, yes, and I said, have you mentioned it to, you know, the owner? And she's like, yeah, I think she knows. Like, this is so important. Again, a customer was affected. It's a
Yep.
common thing. It's affected hospitality. It's annoying to the staff because she had to come and like, and it's
Yeah.
just,
And
yeah,
it's so simple, right? It might be some
housekeeping. Okay.
WD-40, it
Yeah.
might be new door. I have a favorite place that I go, they don't have an automatic closer on their door. So
Mhm.
you open it, you walk in, you think the door is gonna close behind you because that's what we're used to. The door doesn't close, and the first employee that you come up across always says, "Can you please close the door?" Someday, I feel like I'm gonna look at him and go, "It's not my job to close your door. Get a closer on your darn door."
Yeah. So yeah, it's so funny. These little things, these are the little experiences. These are the moments. These are the micro moments. Back to what you
Yep,
said, micro moments.
yep,
They're small, they're intentional, and this is how we can shift our business. And if you're listening right now and you're rolling your eyes because you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's all these micro moments and all these things, we are in such a great position as independent brick and mortars to change these micro moments, to have a staff that actually see the door and to actually run after employee, like whatever, like to do things.
yeah,
Those, in my opinion, are what create lasting impressions. And like it's these micro moments we call, and there's also like this. So I teach a lot about in our retail sales accelerator program. I teach a lot about wow and delight. Wow and
yep,
delight is like making people leave with a smile on their face. And a lot of people think the wow and delight around, and this is part of your marketing because if people leave happy and they feel good and they enjoyed their moments with you,
mhm,
they're going to tell their friends and or they're going to come back. Like this it's a lot easier to have repeat customers than be chasing
oh,
new ones all the time. So these micro moments, these wow and delight moments aren't just again at the checkout counter, right? Like they're everything
no,
we've just been talking about. It's serving me with a smile and actually caring and selling me that pen and with that journal or suggesting that pen with that journal.
yeah,
It's all of these little things, right? It's like making sure the door is closed behind me, is making sure that the air conditioning's on, making sure the sound is there. Like those are all part of marketing, and hospitality again is helping to build all that exceptional, again back to
mhm,
this exceptional retail. And it starts with choosing clarity around being hospital. I just want to
choosing,
like having staff again, it starts with a leader, like you just like you said at the beginning, it starts with a leader.
always.
Make sure that the staff are led to decision and like that they're buying in, and then it goes to the customer, which I think we all have it wrong. I think we're just I don't think we all have it wrong. I think a lot of people have it wrong and they're just prescribing checklists to like you mentioned. Say hello, here's the checklist. Here's how we serve people. And it's
Yeah,
like,
here's how we serve people instead of
yeah.
showing. You
And
made me
how
think of a couple of things, Wendy, and like, how much does your employee trust you
mhm,
on big levels if they
right,
can't trust you to fix the doorknob that hasn't been working properly for X amount of time,
right.
right? What you're showing, in my opinion, and I've done a lot of this
Yep.
work, is that the little things don't matter. And if the little things don't matter, the big things don't matter either.
Yeah, I've shared on the podcast here a few times, and I've shared Stephen Bartlett wrote a book called, and I'm not sure if you read this or not, Stephanie. I know we talk about books a lot, but Diary of a CEO, and he has
Yes.
these 33 rules, and one of the rules is sweat the small stuff.
Yep.
And we think that we shouldn't sweat the small stuff, right? But sweat the small stuff because the little things are the big things. Like this, the little micro things, right? The little things of trust with your employee, like just little things. You're absolutely right. If my boss doesn't care, if I'm an employee and my boss
Yeah.
doesn't care about the shabby carpet, and this is another pet peeve, like the shabby
Mhm.
welcome mark, the mat,
Yeah,
it's all shabby. They're not going to care if I'm dressed kind of shabby today.
that's right.
And things just slowly start to creep, right? Creep sets in
Yep.
if you're not always caring about the little things, and then your employees will care about and so thank you for that reminder. I love
Well,
that.
and then it becomes a lot of work, right? Because all of the little things are now something big or a bunch of big things.
Mhm,
And, I think about that customer, you or whoever they are,
mhm,
the doorknob doesn't work. You go back in a day, a week, a month, a year, and the doorknob still doesn't work.
right.
What kind of trust do you have in that business?
Yeah, it's little things, right? Though I think we're juggling so many things as owners of businesses that we
Mhm.
think that that's just a little thing. It's on my
Forest
punch
for the
list.
trees.
It's on my punch list. Some days or maybe we've stopped seeing it.
That's
I feel like that's a really common thing.
Yep.
Um, because there's so many other things like, competing for our, priorities are competing for our attention. And I think, and again, anybody who's listening who's in any of my mastermind groups, they are like, they know, they're like, oh my gosh, she's going to say it. Like, like as shabby is as shabby does, right? Like if you're not paying attention, if you're not stopping and looking at the little things, like you said, that make the big things, that is your brand. That
Yeah.
is brand building. That is building your brand. Tiny little chips at your brand. It affects like, and then the next thing I hear, and I will hear this, let's say from this place with the doorknob, I will hear this from the owner. The sales have dropped off. I don't know what's wrong. People aren't shopping local anymore.
Your doorknob's broken. It
Yeah,
could be the
it's like, yeah,
reason for
it's not.
everything else.
And it's not just the door, it's not just the doorknob, but because all these like sheet, like this particular place, I'm thinking of like there's chips, it's chipping away, and I'm trying, but she's chipping away at me, and then I'm gonna fall off. I'm gonna go someplace else, right?
Yep.
And again, it's not just the doorknob; it's the little things, all those other little things, and it does build up. So thank you for that reminder. I also want to remind people listening. You were talking earlier about, you didn't say this, but I say bitching about your staff, like, to other people, or I have clients that say my staff, blah, 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 and I'm like, did you
Yep.
say anything? Did you talk to them? I literally a podcast just came out, didn't just come out, podcast came out in January. We are recording this in January. So a podcast came out in January. Literally, it is all about about being nice versus being kind to your staff.
Yep.
And I just wanted to throw that out there. Go have a listen to that because it really does make it, because you'll start to resent your staff too.
Yes.
Not resentment. What do you call that? Like it just starts to erode your trust in your staff, and then contempt. That's the word I'm looking for.
Contempt. That's a good, yeah.
And like it starts to build contempt up because you're like, "Ugh," but it's not your staff's fault. Like, it's you're just being too nice to them. But let's like freedom's on the other side of difficult conversations and maybe difficult examples. Sometimes it's hard to just show that and to take a minute and to think about it. So I just want everybody listening to think about that whole through line from what you want to happen in clarity and hospitality, why it's important to you. Like, write it out. Why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's
Yep.
important to your customers? How is your team being treated? Are they just happy staff, or are they like they really bought in? Thank you for being here. Anything else to share, Stephanie, today?
No, I think one last comment is that how you do one thing is how you do everything,
Ooh,
whether you realize it or not.
mm,
That doorknob is a symptom of everything else that's going on, and I'm I'm serious when I say that that doorknob could be the reason why business is dropping off, why locals aren't shopping. It might not be the only one,
yeah.
but it goes back to things like that. Stop blaming the marketing and stop blaming the other pieces and get back to the root of the little things. Does it work?
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being here. Where can people find you?
Oh, people can find me all kinds of places. I'm on Instagram under Stephanie Miller Vincent. My website is SMillerVision.com. LinkedIn under both SMillerVision and Stephanie Miller Vincent. And you never know where else I might show up.
Well, thank you for being here. I don't know if our audience realizes how lucky we are to have you. I know I just feel really grateful that you've come on for a second time. Thank you. I know you're in demand and I appreciate you being here. So thank you very much.
It is my pleasure. And I love the fact that hospitality spills out of the traditional service industry or what people think it is. I mean, it really is about looking after people.
It is. Thank you for being here, Stephanie.
Thanks, Wendy.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.